Holy Rabbi Judah, I'm so grateful you're making time for this. I know you have a million things going on. You're a man that wears many hats, but Lamaisa, probably one of the hats you're most proud of is being the executive director of Camp HASC.
Yeah, that's my job. Yeah.
Right. I mean, you're using the word job, but I think it's more of a calling and a mission, right?
Yeah, the shlichus.
I feel the same way about my work. I feel like it's a real shlichus. People say to me, "What drives you?" I don't even know. It's bigger than me, and especially the film that we're doing this year. It's not one person's story. It's very different than what I've done until now. Until now, I interview a person and we do his story as an inspiring person. And now you have so many podcasts doing it. And I felt like instead of telling my story or your story, which I'm sure could be inspiring to so many, why don't I tell our story? His story, her story, it's everybody's story. So we went to Rome and in the Vatican, and we literally retraced the steps of the Churban from the beginning, from when
Unbelievable.
the Elim arrived in the ancient port of Rome in Ostia Antica, and it was ferried up the Tiber River into Rome, the parade, the Temple of Peace. It's done really, really well. And if you watch it, you get not just an understanding of the steps of the Churban, but we delve into the mystery of where the Kalim are today. And I never thought I would say this, but you'll have to judge for yourself when you watch it. We have an eyewitness account, more than one eyewitness account, who says and claims that they saw Caleb in the bowels of the Vatican. Very detailed with maps, and they show us where they went in. And one of them had a relationship with Pope John Paul II. It's just a fascinating, fascinating story. And he says he saw it, and he saw it 40, 45 years ago. And I asked him, why didn't you publicize it beforehand? And he said to me, he didn't want to ruffle feathers with the Vatican. They told him to keep it quiet. But now that they're hostages in the tunnels of Gaza and people are despairing, he wants the Yidden to know that we have the Kalim being held hostage in the tunnels of the Vatican. And just like there's a promise that it'll come out, that'll come out. All the hostages will come home. In the end of the day, I don't show the Kalim. I haven't seen the Menorah. We didn't get in, but what I did discover is the light of the Menorah shines brightly in Rome. Now, I don't know if you knew this, that in Rome they have the longest or oldest uninterrupted Jewish community in the world. People are there. I met people in their 90s who are descendants from the families who originally arrived with Titus of Russia. The times of the Churban, the Anavim family and other families. And I realized that in the shul outside of the great synagogue, it says the pasuk Ma Noira Hamakam Hazeh. That's the pasuk engraved in the building. And I thought to myself, maybe it's an allusion to the Menorah Hamakam Hazeh. The light of the menorah comes out of the shul. It comes out from the vessels we create nowadays. So I want to say to you, Reb Judah, that I think that you're no stranger to discovering hidden light. I mean, that's pretty much what you do. You take the vessels that people don't actually see right away as full of light. I want to know a little bit about your work and how that relates to the concept of hidden light.
We know that Ner Hashem Nishmas Adam, that the soul of man is the candle of God. And the Medrash tells us that in Shir Shirim, that the menorah which was Kula Zahav, menorah which was complete gold, Kula Zahav, the Medrash makes a connection between that and the Pasuk in Shir Shirim describing Klal Yisrael, Kula Chiyafa Rayasi of Mumeinbach, the perfect, pure wholeness of the Jewish nation. When you look at the menorah, you see that there's built miksha achas. There's formed of one piece, but the branches are all extending in different ways and individuated in their own particular, unique and specific, different, their own, each one has its own branch, but they're all rooted in the same oneness. When you're meeting different types of people, different types of Jews with different ideas, different ideologies or different levels of observance or different abilities, physical or intellectual or otherwise, when we recognize that each of us is unique, each of us is an individual, but each of us are really part of this whole, miksha achas, this pure golden candelabra that's meir, that illuminates, that gives off light into the world. And kulach yafa rayasi, like the Medrash says, the menorah shows us how beautiful we all are when we recognize that we're all part of this one thing.
It's beautiful. Do you have personal examples? I mean, you're right now in camp, right? I'm sure, like, I'm thinking about the type of work you do. You must be inspired every day by what you come across and the light and whatever your work is. Do you have any personal examples for me?
So much of what goes on in Camp HASC is kind of reconciling a almost what seems to be a disconnect between the or and the kli. Right? There's a body which is struggles to contain the great light of the soul. But be'etzem, in essence, every single yid, every single human being is a soul, is a neshama. It's the process of shemen. And there's something about the menorah, right, the vessel that holds that light or that projects that light, which is struggling, right, which is in some way not able to give that light, the kli, the vessel, the projection that you and I are blessed to have. And when that vessel is limited or that vessel struggles, then that light is even more magnified. And it's not just magnified in the individual with specialized needs or with a developmental disability or with an intellectual disability, with a physical handicap, but everyone around it gets this or hachozer, this reflective light. Last summer, we had the opportunity to host Jen Early, Mrs. Early from Ramat Beit Shemesh. Her son, Binyamin Hashem Yikom Damo, went al Kiddush Hashem in Gaza. And she came and spent time over here. She spoke to the staff and spent time on campus for a couple of days. We have a women's annex, a base madrash for women where ladies daven and learn, and we have shiurim. And she came in there, I guess, to say a couple tehillim, to have a couple quiet moments. And there was a counselor sitting with a camper who is nonverbal, meaning she communicates in a way without words, which is challenging sometimes to understand what a person is trying to express or what they want or what they need. She happens to know sign language, this camper, and the counselor learned sign language in order to communicate with her. And she was sitting there and they were learning together. Counselor was learning a little something on the parsha. And as Mrs. Early came in, the camper looked toward her and smiled. So Jane Early, they had never met before, they'd never interacted. And the girl got up, the camper got up and walked over to the wall. We have on the wall hanging a picture that all the names of HASC alumni who are serving in Tzahal, to have them in mind in our davening and learning. And next to it, there's a Svarim shrunk, there's a Svarim shelf. And on top of it, there's that classic picture of the kotel of like different types of Jews davening, next to each other, some with a shtreimel and a social, whatever. It's a beautiful picture. It's the right picture of her base medrash. And this young lady, this camper, who you don't always know what she's thinking or what to express herself, points to the sign, points to the picture, looks at Mrs. Early, and starts doing this, the sign for thank you. Thank you. Thank
Wow. Wow.
you. How did she know? Did she watch the news? Did she hear the story? Did her soul intuit? There was something there that powerful light of Mesiras Nefesh that was shining from Maman's mother, and the light of Chesed and Ahavas Yisrael from Mesiras Nefesh that was shining from her counselor, and that light inside of her that intuited or understood or connected those dots, created a very powerful moment, and everyone cried and davened together.
Well, sometimes those moments, like that form of communication in silence, is so much more powerful sometimes than words. There's a knowing, there's a deep knowing.
There's some intuition over there. There's
Yeah.
something. When a number of years ago, we was also each summer to have the Mashgiach Zatzal of Matzia Salomon come and visit. Years ago, one of the first summers that he came, it was pouring rain that day, and we went up to the gym, the old gym. Everyone was crowded in, and there was a little bit of a balagan, and they're trying to play music. And now it's not so simple to have all of our campers, 350 campers, and 600 staff, and the mashgiach, and make some matzav of kavod Torah, and have it all be somewhat organized inside the gym. And all different types of people, different sensory needs also. And some of the individuals with autism struggle to be in a contained environment where there's a lot of loud noises. And anyways, there was our medical director, his son, Gavi, was there with his father at the time, was our camp director, our program director. And the counselors, they were like, okay, leave Gavi out. It's too much for him. It's going to be too hard, all the experience. But they didn't want the counselors to miss out on the opportunity of getting to say shalom to the mashgiach and get a handshake. Now, Gavi has a different way of reaching out and holding on, let's call it. It's Chaim. He likes to hold on to things and grab onto things. And the counselors took him, and the mashgiach saw him and smiled and wanted to give him a little bit of a handshake. So the mashgiach reached out his hand, and the counselors let go of Gavi's hand. And instead of the mashgiach and Gavi's hand grabbing, reaching each other, Gavi's hand kind of went and grabbed onto the mashgiach's beard.
Oh my gosh.
And pulled, and the mashgiach went with it. I mean, you can imagine everybody was like, oh no, what's going to be? And the parents were so embarrassed, felt uncomfortable. And the counselors tried to grab. And if you ever tried to like undo a grab, so you have to lean in, not pull back. And it was a whole to do. And every time they loosened up one finger, grabbed with another, and it was painful. You saw the Mashiach like with all of his musar and all of his midas trying to just, not cry out and not have this pain. And finally, the whole thing was resolved. And the boy's father, the camper's father, said, I'm so sorry. He doesn't know, he doesn't realize it's his way of trying to connect. The Mashgiach looked and said, I saw how badly he wanted to connect and how much he wanted to be a part of this moment. If he had even a moment of hana'ah or feeling that he belonged, it's okay, it's worth it.
Wow. Wow. Wow.
Recognizing that everyone has their own language and their own way, their own modality
Yeah.
of
Yeah.
connecting, of shining out. I'll share another one, just a snapshot. We have in our Thank You Hashem base a room for campers who need respiratory care, relief from breathing issues, lung issues. There's all sorts of secretions and things that either need to be suctioned and drained, or these weighted vests to move it around so that they're able to breathe freely and comfortably. It's for all intents and purposes, it's a mini hospital. And the nurses are there and the administrators are there and they kind of give them the medications. And in the mornings and the evenings, they sit in these chairs and each one in a cubicle and have the lungs drained or moved around, jolted in order to be able to facilitate breathing. And a young man, I can't be here for many years, named Eli, who's the most beautiful, special child, comes from a very special family. And the room is an important place for him in his daily schedule. And thank God we have it, and thank God he's here. So you sit there and it could be 20 minutes, half an hour, 40 minutes. So what happens while he's sitting in the chair over there? I just noticed it. It was a couple of days ago. His counselor was back from yeshiva in his year, was sitting next to him with a chumash open, being maver sedra out loud so that Eli could also benefit from it. And he was talking to him, saying, right, Eli, he's reading chumash, pasuk, and then reading Rashi, he's saying it in Hebrew, saying it in English, and he's saying, right. Ellie's sitting there with something with a mask over his face and a weighted vest. It's moving in order to move things around, smiling with such joy, with such pure, unadulterated joy. You see, the Kli is struggling to contain the neshama, which is so bright, which is reacting. And his counselor was sitting, not just learning from Kiner mitzvah v'Torah or. The menorah is the symbol of chachma, of Torah shining outwards. That was taking place over here.
Yeah.
They were lighting each other up and shining an incredible light of Torah.
Bursting through the cracks, bursting through. Yeah, it's
A vessel which is struggling and unable to hold it. The
contained.
neshama of a yid, Nishmas Yisrael.
Right, right.
I was only hoping that the windows of the base refuah would be, narrow on the inside and wide on the outside, so that light can go to the entire world. The whole world can see
Right.
that any limitation is only a dimion. It's only a figment of our imagination. It takes
Yeah,
a little creativity and a little
yeah.
thoughtfulness in order to be lit together.
It's unbelievable because what you're saying is the limitation of the keli is a reflection of the tremendous light that's inside that the keli pashat can't contain it.
It only is broken. The shviras hakli is because the neshama is so strong and magnified.
So uplifting. What you're saying is so uplifting, Reb Jude, and you see it every day. And you see it every day.
But it doesn't get old. Every morning before the hatlaka, there was hatavas haneros.
Yes.
Hatavas haneros, well, it was cleaning it out. There was something very mundane, fixing the psilos, hachana, preparing, cleaning out what it was. Our counselors and campers here, they're living together in a bunk. Right? They're coming, it's real life in the kitchen, in the therapy building, and in the medical center, in the class. It's real life, mundane stuff. That's called hatavas haner, because when we enable each other to shine, it's
Yeah.
called hatava. We're doing good for another yid. Bahalos chasaneros. We're lifting each other up. The search for the menorah is searching for opportunities to lift each other up in order that we should be able to help each other shine.
It's amazing what you're telling me. Amazing what you're saying. And I love how you broke it down and you differentiated between the keli and the art that's inside it. Because that answered a tremendous question as I was doing this film. I was journeying through Rome and the Vatican. One question that really bothered me is if the menorah is in the tunnels of the Vatican, which is the Avia Vasatoma, right? That's the capital of Christianity, the church. What bothered me was how could it be that such a heilige keli, such a holy vessel, could be held captive in such a tama place? I felt the hollowness there, and I was like, what? The Rebbeinu Shalom's menorah, like our menorah, is there? It could be there. And then I was talking to a friend, Rabbi Daniel Gladstein, and he was telling me what the Panovich Rav said, and this is incredible. He said that In Daf Yomi, we just had Daf Yud Ches and Avodah Zarah. It says Reb Chanina ben Shradyan was being burnt alive, and he had a Sefer Torah wrapped around him. And his Talmidim said, Rebbe, what are you seeing? So he says, I see Gilyonis Nisrafin. I see that the parchment is being burnt, but Oisius Parchas, I see the letters are flying upward. And the Panovich Rav said that you could burn the keli. The keli you could always burn. The keli it's feeble. It's just a keli. But the spirit and the soul, the or, the light, the shine, that they can never take. And he said that with regard to Panovich in Europe. He says that the Nazis destroyed Panovich, but the Oisius Parchas, whatever, all the Torah, the tefillas that were learned in Panovich in Europe, that was Pireach. And as soon as he was able to build another keli in Bnei Barak, to contain that oil, the oil came back down. And he explained to me that that's also with the menorah. The menorah, they could take the menorah, but as soon as they took the menorah, the or of the menorah disappeared. That or, the iris were parchas. And if we create a vessel, we have to recreate the vessel in our lives for that art to come back down and shine through. And I think that what you're doing, Reb Judah, that, HASC and your work really exemplifies that musik, because what you just described is really counselors and campers creating that vessel for the light. That partnership is incredibly powerful.
And I'll just say that when you come here, you walk into a place like Camp HASC. It's a place where the soul is amplified, is magnified. That's the goal. The goal is soul. And you come here, you understand that the body is something temporal. It's something which is not going to last. Listen, we all know it. You put on a few pounds, take off a few pounds. You get a little older, you get a little gray. Get glasses, take off your glasses, maybe with a yarmulke, without, covering her hair. She's not going. You can, all the levushim, we know, you can put on a jacket, you can take off a jacket. Body is a levush for the neshama. The body is in robes and contains the soul, which is the essence of the person. So that if the body is in a state where it's called not able to do certain things, we know that that's the tafel. And we know that that's not the main story of this world. And you come to a place like Camp HASC, you see such light and such joy and such giving, such connectivity, such chesed, an awakening of everything good that's in the world. It's because we're looking at what is and what can be, as opposed to what's not and what's lacking. Instead, that's not just a mushal for this world, osios parchos ba'avir, but it's actually this world. Because everything in this world is a lavush. The whole entire world is a lavush. The entire world is a place of helim, and we're looking to reveal light in those places. Every single child and adult in Camp HASC with individualized needs, striving to reach their potential and be the best they can be. But the metrics of success and the goals are completely different than in the outside world. It's not accomplishment based. It's not conditional on the kalim of how much money you make or how great of a shidduch you're going to get or how many siyumim you're going to accomplish. Even things in Kedusha can be levushim. It's a revelation of an unconditional soul glow and love that the Ribbon Shalom has for Klal Yisrael. And when counselors and campers and when staff members and campers are together and working together as that or and Kli, you can reveal a whole new modality of drawing close to Hashem Yisborach. It's revealing the light in every single place that's latent in every single human being. So that's the light of the menorah. That's the light of the soul, which never went away. The churban, there's crying and there's loss and there's lack and there's brokenness and there's exile and darkness. But oz v'chedva b'mekomo. In a certain sense, the light, Torah, has always existed. Nishmas Yisrael continues. The narrative of the Jewish people continues. We're yearning to restore the light in the vessel. Right? When people of other abilities or people who are struggling in the world physically or spiritually, emotionally, are joined together with people and we're helping each other, we're building each other, we're being mashal in the kli and the or together, it's a rebuilding of the Beis HaMikdash.
Right. It's incredible. When I was in Rome, one of my key takeaways and what inspired me most was the resilience of the Jewish community there, that they're still hanging on after 2,000 years to Torah and mitzvahs in the great synagogue, and they have minhagim that are literally passed down from the times of the Beis HaMikdash. These Yidden, these families came literally from Yerushalayim, the Beis HaMikdash, to Rome, and they've never left yet. They're waiting for Mashiach to show up at Pischid de Beiroimi, by the Shah Roimi, to take us home. And there's a tremendous resilience of Am Yisrael. Talk to me a little bit about the resilience of these families that have these children, these special neshamas. I'm sure you're interacting with parents and siblings. What's that like for you?
I'll tell you, I'm in a constant state of being humbled and amazed at the dedication and the love of so many of the parents here. And we're talking about different Kanei Menorah, from the most Hasidic homes to homes that are a little bit less connected to Jewish observance and everything in between. What the Miksha Achas, so to speak, the unifying factor is the dedication and the advocacy. And it's not so simple. Often, people are expecting a child and everyone should be blessed. They're expecting, you're hoping that child dreams that they'll grow up and maybe become a Talmud Chacham or to become a great doctor and become somebody who we bring to chuppah and somebody who's going to give Yiddish and Nachas in a way which are metrics that the world that we live in values. They'll make siyumim, maybe they'll make a lot of money, maybe they'll be a great ball player, whatever it may be. It's a different narrative for a family, for parents of a child with a developmental disability, with intellectual disability, with specialized needs, with autism. The expectations and those dreams and those hopes are different. And shift in trying to do the best possibly can by their kids. And the achrayus that we feel in Camp HASC to try our best to be able to meet those dreams and those hopes for those parents is something which is very intense. It's very, very heavy. It's been more than 50 years that the Khan family has been cultivating this environment, taking care of the individual needs. And we often say, people ask how many campers there are. There's 500 families that are being provided services every year, but really it's, to take from Rav Hutner, it's one Talmud 500 times. It's one camper 500 times with one set of parents and siblings and a family and an ecosystem that wait all year for their child or their sibling to be able to be here.
Wow.
They have the respite, and that's important. But even more important to them is that the child should be surrounded by love and giving and music and go to class. We have classrooms here and therapy here and pools that they should be able to swim and they should be able to play and they should be able to go to shul and hear music, and whether or not they can speak, to be able to have brachos made for them or answer amen or nod and be in a Heimish environment, and an environment of avodas Hashem and love and support. And it's so important to these families, and they're not mevater on it. And we go to sleep every night with a sense of achrayus because it's so important to them. Not because of the metrics that maybe you and I have, the hopes that someone with a child of typical development has, but in order to, in their kalim, help their light shine in the most beautiful way. And it's something that we take very, very seriously and carry with a real achrayus. A number of years ago, there was a mother, a Chassidish family, lives in Brooklyn. They live in a small apartment with a lot of kids. And they have a child with severe disability and physical handicap, is in a wheelchair, non-ambulatory. And they brought him to camp, and she said, I know Camp HASC does miracles, and they're going to make, instead of starting Yiddish, English, you're going to go, you're going to see my son's going to walk, and he's going to dance, and by his chasna. And I'm like, I was standing there, and I'm like, okay, it's not like a revivalist place where we you say tikkun klali and you throw some dust and then everybody starts jumping out of their chairs. Like, it's not,
Right.
we have a Reb Shai room, we have tzaddikim, and I don't know. But I said, oh, and everyone smiles and says, okay, we're so excited to have him. And the boy's name is Levi Yitzchak. Okay, I'm like, Levi Yitzchak, all right. There's potential there for, anyways, he has physical therapy in the city. They go to school and the state provides physical therapy, but what is it, like 3 times a week, 40 minutes, you go, check in, check out, the therapist does their thing. But over here, the therapy is all day and night. The counselors carry over from the physical therapist, the occupational therapist. They're in the pool, a heated pool, the joints are moving, they come out of the wheelchair. They can go with a walker and somebody can literally hold his feet in the shallow water and move them. And they're doing that throughout the summer. And every night before bed, moving his heels and moving his legs and putting weights and moving them up and down. And throughout a summer, it's not 3 times a week, 40 minutes, but it's all day carrying over every, it's a therapeutic environment, and it's wild. And this is going on the whole summer. At the end of the summer, the physical therapist meets him in Brooklyn and says, like, he needs a whole new protocol. He moved 5 years, like the needle moved exponentially 5 years. What happened? How could that be? The mother said, oh, the miracles, the counselors, the therapists. It is, it's exponential growth. Also, that's the way it works. We do a little bit and the Ribono Shel Olam, moves it forward.
Right.
And the second summer, it's like the 3rd week of camp, they're in the pool working his feet. And these counselors, they don't know any better. They don't know that the doctor said the kid's never going to walk. They don't know that it's not possible. Or if they do, you're 18 years old and you have delusions that I'm going to be the one. They know the story that a camper 2 years ago said his first words in camp, that he didn't speak his whole life and said his first words, I love you in camp. So they have in their mind, I'll be the shaliach. That's what happens. Tamimos, right?
Right, right.
In the water, moving his feet, moving his legs, and they let go. And he's holding his walker in the water, in the pool, in the therapeutic pool, and he's walking. And they're watching and they're saying, he's walking. And the lifeguard's like, what? He's walking? And they get on the walkie-talkie and they call the division head and they call the therapist and they come running to the pool. Everybody's like, he's walking. And now, what do? I would take out my thing and take a video.
Sure.
Mother doesn't have a smartphone with a video on it. Then an email address. Like, you know, like, what do you do?
Right.
They call her and said, Levi Yitzchak took steps. She got in her car from Villapest, from Williamsburg, drove upstate, got here after dark at night. The head lifeguard opened up the pool, turns on the lights. Everybody comes down, goes into the pool. And the mother and the father are standing there crying, watching
Oh my
the
gosh.
pool take steps.
Oh my gosh.
That light, the vessel is the vessel, that light is shining. Ner l'ragli dvarecha. When you're ready to do the work, right? The physical work for Yenim's Gashmias, for another person's physical well-being, that's Hatavas Haneros, Bahaloschas Haneros.
Ah,
Like Rashi says, so that the Shalheves Olam Aleh, that it could stand on its own, the flame could sustain itself and stand on its own 2 feet.
this is unbelievable.
Some call it a miracle, others call it just the result of mysterious nefesh and Ahavas Israel.
That's exactly right. I believe it. I believe it. I feel like I went to the wrong place to look for the menorah. I thought the menorah is in the Vatican. I think it's in Camp HASC. Rav Judah, I'm so honored. Really, it's just I'm good schmoozing with you. Continue your avodas hakodesh, and we should be zoichet to see all the children healed and Mirza Hashem to come back to the Beis Hamikdash Ashlishi.
And thank you for magnifying the light of the Jewish people for the whole world. Thank you for telling the stories of Klal Yisrael. Thank you for shining that light out for Jewish people. Every single one of us needs chizuk. We
Yeah,
all have special needs. When we're
yeah,
waiting for that geula, when everyone will be healed and everyone's going to come out of their wheelchairs and their diagnosis and the autism and the special needs and all the people in the hospitals will be cleared, it's also talking about you and I. It's the
that's
people.
exactly right. That's exactly right.
I understand that Hashem made people in a certain way, but our midos and our personality and our tikkunim, we're all in need of a collective refuah. Golos,
Yeah,
golos is illness.
that's
Golos
right.
is illness. We're looking for the menorah, we're looking for the light. If we would just look inside of ourselves, inside of each other, we'll be able to bring all of that light, all these tzitzos back to Yerushalayim. And Yerushalayim will be Ora Shel Olam once again.
Amen. Oh, amen, Rav Judah. Amen. That's exactly the message I want to convey. Exactly what you just said. And Mirza
Thank you
Hashem,
for the
would you
opportunity to share together.
to continue your avodas hakodesh. Take care, Rav Judah. Take
Thank
care.
you so much for the opportunity.